Welcome everyone to the Circle of Resilience. And today I'm talking to Lina Vuk. And I'll introduce her later, but as always, we start by settling in, grounding ourselves. I know I always need it, so I hope you do too and join me. So you can rub your hands, create some energy, some love, some attention. Rub as hard or as soft and slow as you wish. And use the warmth of your hands to touch yourself on parts of your body that need it. And I always say the parts that need it, but maybe it's all parts need it. And it's not only the parts that ache or feel a little bit stuck or stiff. Maybe it's also the parts that already feel light and relaxed. So take your time to give that love to any part of your body. Maybe you want to be still. Maybe you want to move your hands around a little bit. So see what you need right now. And then let your hands come to stillness somewhere. Maybe on your heart, on your lap, or one hand on your heart and one on your belly, your womb space. And then we take our 3 conscious breaths. And in the first inhale, we gather everything that pulls us to the past. Anything that just happened. Anything that's holding you back into the past. And on your exhale, you can slowly let it go. And then on the next inhale, you can gather everything that is pulling or pushing you to the future. It might be anything you still want to do today. Maybe your big dreams, or maybe the things that are kind of nagging at you for not having done them yet. Anything that is taking you into the future. Hold it lightly and then on your exhale, let it go. And then the third breath we do together, we use to fully welcome ourselves in this moment. So gather every last bit that you no longer need. And sigh it out. To welcome yourself in the here and now. Maybe you want to drop your head a little bit. And then you can slowly open your eyes. Let the world and the light back in. And when you're ready, you can grab your candle. We will not only let the light back into our eyes, but also into our bodies. and our space. I light this candle for Lina and me for this conversation. I light it for everyone who's doing this with us, who's back at home listening, watching. For every woman that serves this circle in one way or another. Yeah, and for all the women and men around the world who come together in circles, in other ways, to remind ourselves and each other of how much resilience we have in us, and also how much softness. So that's what I invite into the circle with this candle. And I always ask Lina, do you want to add anything or anyone to our candle?
I think you've taken all of them into consideration. I just think everyone who is receiving, all living beings, I say not just human beings, but animals, plants, minerals. So if we include everyone in this, I think we've done it all. So
good. Yeah. Well, those will be with us for this conversation. And I want to start, I already told Lina, by something out of my own resilience booklet journal. And that is this page. It's shiny. I like it. And you see a wall and someone sitting before the wall, and behind the wall is the light. And I drew this image and written the text because Lina told me of Dang Niem. I hope I pronounce her name right.
Yeah, let's hope.
Who told a beautiful metaphor for resilience, that it's not about breaking down the whole wall. It's about making that tiny hole that helps the light back in. And from there, we can already feel and see the light that helps us to be resilient. And it's fine to, that's my interpretation of it as well, it's fine to be pushed to the ground, to totally not know where to go. That's part of resilience, to fully, that's totally okay if that happens. And it's also about, what do I need to let the light slowly back in? You know, the Leonard Cohen song where there's a crack in everything, that's where the light gets in. Well,
yeah, I love this one.
Yeah. That's exactly what this page to me is about, and you told me about it, so thank you still for that.
You're welcome.
And I think that's a good start for this conversation, because I know you are a truly resilient woman. I love your playfulness. Every time I see something of you, you make me smile just by you are brave enough to be silly and to show your own your own way of looking at things. And I think we need that in the world, people who are authentic in that. So that's what you mirror in me.
Thank you for this. I have never hear anyone talk about me like that. I never think of me like that, silly and bringing this energy. But yeah, can I just add on to the drawing you made about how bringing light in, because we as people, we think, I think that's important thing to mention as well, that we think that we have to tear down the whole wall in order to grow or come out of heavy situations. But this picture that you drew, if you can imagine the whole wall, and then you just kind of take away a little pebble and the light comes in, and then you take another one and another one and another one, and then you have more light, and even you take then bigger pieces out, and then the whole wall comes crashing down eventually. So we don't have to tear down the whole wall. We can just take little teeny tiny steps, and then everything else unfolds. So we just have to start there and letting a little bit of light shine in. So yeah. I know as myself, I am the person who tries to do all things at once and solve the problem all at once, but it reminds me that we don't have to do it all at once, because it's hard, and it's easier to take small steps and then all comes down on its own.
Yeah. Yeah, I really, like you said, I love this image because it reminds me I'm somebody who really is eager to life, so I want to take everything, I want to get everything out of it. I love so many things and I want to do them all and be there. And um so to me for the moments I feel this is too much, or you know um
It gets overwhelming. It
yeah,
gets so
the
overwhelming.
overwhelming parts. But I guess it's also about the other side of my wall, um that it's okay to do tiny steps in every way. And I think that's what this whole circle is about, where we want to remind each other of that. Yeah, how can you also take care of yourself in tiny steps and not always having to do the whole spa day, or just rubbing your hands can be enough to come back to your body in this moment. So yeah, um, it's on so many levels. It's a good way to start small.
Yeah.
But you are an amazing woman, as I said. So do you want to tell us a little bit more about what you do? Because I know you're in a pretty big transition right now, moving back to Malta, and a lot of things are in your face. But
Yeah.
yeah, who are you? What are you doing right now?
Oh, who am I? The question, who am I? Well, my name is Lina. I am a Slovenian born and raised here in Slovenia, where I am currently staying since this Corona situation. I have been living though in Malta, in the Maltese Islands, for about, I think it's 7 years now. And just in 3 days, I am packing things here and moving to another place for a week and then going to Malta. So it's been, yeah, a little bit hectic. I'm a yoga teacher otherwise. Um, a a brand new yoga teacher, but have been practicing yoga for, it is about 8 years, I think now. Yes, something like that. So, yeah, otherwise I was studying economics, which is a completely different thing. But I have been always interested in psychology, in how the mind or body work, and or how they are connected. And yeah, I've been teaching chair yoga, which I absolutely adore. It's one of my favorite things to do. I've been teaching flow. I started with flow yoga, but been moving slowly towards um, a little gentler practices in yin yoga, certified in yin yoga as well. Um, so yeah, that's about it.
Mm,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah, I've done chair yoga with you a few times, and I don't know if people watching have experienced it, but I think for a lot of people it counts like chair yoga is for people who cannot stand, or
Yeah.
need the chair to move. But that's so not true. It's so cool to do chair yoga even if you can, stand on 2 feet,
Yeah.
and use the chair while standing. And it's such a fun way to
Right?
practice. Yeah. So to everyone watching and not having experienced it, if you're curious, I highly, highly recommend that.
Yeah, I do too. It's so much fun. We have so much fun. I don't know what happens, but whenever I teach chair yoga, especially chair yoga, something in me happens, and that it comes this playful, like you said, playful energy comes out, and it just and it's sometimes yoga is so serious. We are so serious, and of course, it's a spiritual practice, and we want to go a little bit deeper into get to know ourselves again. um, but it's important because everything is so serious nowadays. It's important to bring a little bit of lightness and fun, and yeah, picking apples, and as you do your chair yoga, for example, it's fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, I invite you to come to chair yoga classes, definitely.
Okay. I really want to dive into resilience with you because I know you're a pretty resilient woman. Yeah, so can you tell us how this theme is kind of anchored in you? I always find it hard to find words to ask this question, but I know it's something that we practice. That's why we do this whole circle. um, so it's about how do you practice it, but also how is it alive in you?
Oh yeah, that's a lot to chew on, to talk about.
I'm good at big questions.
Yeah, it's a big question, but yeah, resilience for me is, if I go from what does it mean to me, and then how do I practice or strengthen my resilience. It's for me, it's just picking myself up no matter how hard it is to get back up, because it is hard, and all of us are dealing with really really heavy stuff, not just now it's especially hard, but um, just the strength of, how do you build strength to pick yourself up again and again, and not stay down there in this dark hole of heavy emotions, that you don't get pulled down for too long. For me, mindfulness has helped me a lot, a lot. The last year or the last years, yeah, I've been gone through a lot, but I try to remind myself that I need to pick myself back up, because if I stay there, um, I will stay there and nobody will help me up. It's important for me to remember that I am responsible for everything that is happening inside of me. Nobody else will give me a hand and pick me up from the bottom of the well when I get there. Um, I am the one who is responsible for what do I let in, and how do I then deal with all the emotions and the things that come. In mindfulness, we call this the garden of the mind. And we have inside pleasant and unpleasant seeds. And then or how will you choose which one to water? Will you choose to water the pleasant seeds like joy, compassion, kindness, understanding, harmony? Or will you choose to water the weeds like hate or self-blame, hatred, jealousy, anger? Because we all have them inside of us. We all have both of those. And then the mindfulness seed is the one that we should really, really pay attention to. And that helps me a lot when I come down into this, um, when, anger starts to rumble up, or when jealousy comes. I remember that if I put my thoughts, if I water those seeds, they will grow, and eventually my garden, my mind garden, will become full of weeds, not full of flowers. Because, but just understanding that we have accepting that we have all of those inside of us is a big, big, big step. Yeah.
Yeah. And
And
oh, you
yeah,
can
yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
I'm curious how you approach this, because I also, to me, I've the first part of my life, I've kind of ignored my weeds. So I pretended they weren't there, but they were there. So I hear a difference in what you're saying, that it's not about totally neglecting them and pretending they're not there, but also not giving them the water or the soil or whatever they need to grow.
Yeah.
Do you get this difference that I
Yeah.
try to explain? So if I look at my own experience, for example, um, being angry at my boyfriend is the best example. There's two people in my life who get the most anger. It's my mom and my
Yeah.
boyfriend.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah.
Mm.
Um, so for the first part of my life, I didn't speak up. I didn't speak my mind. I didn't well, in small parts, but I I tried not to let other people see what was bothering me. And when I learned to do that, not by throwing my shit over the fence to the other person, because that's something different than speaking and
Mhm.
ventilating what's in your heart, but um, by learning to acknowledge them but not make them bigger or smaller than they are, my garden became so much prettier or richer, maybe even, than the first part of neglecting, that there was fear, there was anger, there was jealousy, there was all these emotions that we label as negative.
Unpleasant.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like to call them, well, my teacher, who I adore, Victoria Nan from Vietnam, who actually showed me, um, she I learned from her the mindfulness. I did the mindfulness training with her, and uh, she explained, yeah, that this is, we have to not neglect, of course, not neglect, but just become aware. I think that is the first step of everything, just becoming aware. And I've run away from my unpleasant seeds for my whole life. I didn't know how to communicate. That is a whole different part of conversation. But in my family, we didn't speak about how do you feel, and why is this making you angry, or um, why are you jealous, or why are you doing this. We haven't spoken about this. And if for me, the whole my life, I was just keeping this inside of me. I haven't spoken these things out. And then when I um, grew a little bit and I started practicing yoga and then mindfulness, I realized that it's important to speak about these things. It's important to surround yourself with people who are willing to listen. And it's super important to be understanding and compassionate with yourself.
Mm.
Because if you continue to blame yourself for everything that is happening, or continue to um, neglect or run away from whatever is happening, it's going to come up eventually after you. It won't go away unless you deal with it. This has been one of the biggest lessons in my life, that no matter how hard I try and push it and say, okay, I'm fine. I'm not feeling sad. I'm not feeling this. It will come and it will haunt me until I will deal with it.
Mm.
And that is one big part how I practice resilience. And even no matter how hard my emotions, feelings get, I deal with them, and then I explore where are they coming from. Maybe we have to go back into your childhood, because we have this habit behaviors that are really, really strong. Um, and yeah, not running away from those heavy emotions.
Mm.
And definitely while we are at it, while we're doing this, not forgetting about self-care, because this is another big part of um, holding yourself um, with compassion, with kindness, taking care of yourself. And no matter how big or small, like we said in the beginning, it is, sometimes it's just, saying no to something that doesn't feel right, and then saying yes to yourself and taking, for me, I love to go out to the nature and charge my batteries there, um, or just sit in silence. For me, solitude is one of the best healing practices, best self-care practices that um, I practice right now. And I didn't know that before I started practicing mindfulness and yoga. This is the part where yoga and mindfulness come, because you get to know yourself better. You know what you need in that exact moment,
Yeah.
and then give it to yourself.
Yeah.
Hopefully. Yeah.
Yeah. So really nurturing that part of you that needs it.
Yeah,
That
that need that,
your inner child or your fire or whatever. Yeah. Yeah.
that's so true. Yeah.
Can you tell us how that journey of, because I hear like a transition from self blame or self hatred to compassion, kind of.
Mhm.
How did that evolve in
Hey,
you?
came to be.
Yeah.
Well, if I start really early on, well, really early on in my teenager years, I didn't have a lot of self-love. I didn't love myself. Truly, I didn't love any part. I just kept on picking myself on. I don't like how I look, how my belly looks. Um, I I didn't eat properly because I wanted to be thin. I wanted to please everyone else because I'm a natural yes person. So saying yes to everybody else and not to myself, just because I want to be liked. I wanted to be liked, which I still do. I mean, these things kind of don't ever change, but now I have more awareness, or when it's time to set the boundary, when it's time, me time, and when it's time for uh, others. So yeah, getting back to where it started, I haven't been, yeah, loving myself a lot, and we're in not really kind, romantic, not respectful relationships, and yeah, I brought myself down a lot. I let myself, others bring me down a lot, and that's what self-love is. If you don't have it, you let others kind of step on you like you are the last piece of trash out there. So and I didn't have any mindfulness practice nor yoga, um, and then I started my, back then when I was working in an office. Yeah, that's a whole other story. I let myself be pushed around a lot. Um, so I think, like it is when every step of your journey brings you somewhere. I think I needed yoga, um, and the practice of mindfulness to bring me back to self-love, to bring me back to nurturing practices, to let me know where I need to take care of myself more, in which areas. And all these things that happened, that were really hard. Now I understand why I am here where I am, because uh, now I can look at those things, the bad things that happened, what I used to call them, the bad things that happen to us. We always say, yeah, but that bad thing, that, oh, things are always happening to me. Can you agree with that? And
I'm not
what,
responsible here. It just happens. Yeah.
yeah, and taking responsibility for your thoughts and actions and stuff. Um, but yeah, it was a lot of not loving myself. That was a really big part of my suffering back then. Um, a lot of anxiety because I didn't meet expectations that I put for myself. Um, and I always wanted to be this strong, resilient woman that everybody can lean on me, and in the meantime forgot about myself. And then when my brother died of suicide, um, 4 years back, it all came kind of tumbling, crumbling down. And that was the time when I really felt that I need to be even stronger then, because I needed to be stronger for my mom, for my dad, for everyone around me. And I didn't take care of myself then. I was just being a rock for the other people, and yeah, not taking good care of myself. But thankfully, I started practicing yoga before. That's why I said everything comes when you need it. Because if I didn't practice yoga and mindfulness back then, not so much mindfulness, but yoga, I probably wouldn't survive this pain and this suffering that I had, because it kept on in my mind. It was, I didn't show this. We are super strong and we never show our emotions, because I was taught this way. You just suck it up and you go on your path. You don't show that you are hurt and that you are suffering. And yeah, that's how yoga helped me come back to myself, calm down my anxiety, and most importantly, bring me from this place of self-blame. How could I have helped him? And if I would do that, maybe he would still be here. And if I did that, he wouldn't do that. And there was so much self-blame around the death of my brother, and it was suffocating. It was suffocating, and so much anxiety came into my heart and all around me. And when one part of your heart feels heavy, then all the other parts kind of get this not clear. You are not clear, and it pulls you down even further down the road. And I was on the outside, I was pretty normal. Nobody knew, it was just for a week or so. Yeah, we were sad, and then people forget, they move on. And for me it was really hard because nobody asked me how I am, even after, because if a loved one dies, the first is shock, how the grieving part goes, and then it really hits you. After a while, when everybody forgets, it really hits you. And then if you don't know how to deal or meet your emotions, then it can really pull you down into anxiety and depression. And I had days when I woke up crying and I couldn't get out of bed. It was that bad. I didn't see the point of continuing. It was like this. And the mind, when it goes, oh, I could have, I should have, we keep on telling ourselves this. We could have done this better, or we should have done this and this and this. And nothing good brings you. And you cannot grow from there. You can just stay as you are in a heavy part of life. Of course, you have to grieve and give yourself space and do lots of self-care practices. But yeah, yoga definitely kept me sane and still keeping me sane till this day, because it never ends, really. It never really ends, and it doesn't have to be death. It can be all sorts of stuff, that bring us down. But it's important. I think the most important thing, like you said in the beginning, I loved it. You just took my words out of my mouth. To when things get hard, because they get hard, we are all experiencing a lot of hard things, is to remember to stay strong, but not strong in a way that, no, don't show your feelings, be hard as a rock, but stand tall, but keep soft, stay soft in the heart, stay soft and open, and be willing to move from a place of suffering into the place of happiness, because one without the other, they don't exist. They are both always, always present, and there is no such thing as just joy or just happiness, right?
Totally true.
Yeah, both of those exist.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know where to start you.
Yeah, I'm talking a lot. Yeah, when I start, it's hard to.
Yeah, but I just listening to you, you touch on everything, and that's part of resilience. And I really cannot imagine what it must be like to lose someone really close to you. You know, I lost my grandmother last week, but it feels different because I know she's in a good place. I know she didn't have anything left to do here. I'm not the one to judge about that, but I think that's the case for her. So I have no clue what it's like to go through really pure, raw grief. I've never experienced, and I know it will come one way or another in your life, but so I cannot imagine what that must be like. But what I love to hear how you talk about it is that we hope we can meet each other in this way. You know, that's why we do this circle. That's why we come together in circles, to be with each other and hold space for those kinds of experiences. And like you said, it can be losing someone, but it can also be losing a job, or
Yeah,
anything that feels like I can't go on the way I thought I would be. But what I love how you put it is that even when we don't have a circle, we don't have someone around us to talk to, or everyone has moved on, which I heard from a lot of people losing someone, that it feels like you should be over it by now because it's been a few years or weeks or months, but you're not. And in that moment, choose, but I'm still here for me. And I cannot imagine how hard that must be, because I can imagine it must feel like you're all alone. But there's so much strength in, and softness at the same time, as you said, in still holding yourself and coming back to that place of self-love, self-care, self-nurturing, self-compassion.
yeah.
Yeah. And it reminded me of this quote by one of my favorite researchers of all time, Brene Brown. She has this phrase, I think it's from her book Braving the Wilderness, but I'm not sure. It's strong back, soft front, wild heart.
Wow.
And maybe that's what I see in you. You have as you said, kind of a solid base, strong back, but also open and soft in the front, and your playful, wild heart.
Oh yeah, that is a good one. I like this one. I've never heard of it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's important to keep, because then, like we started, then you put a wall and you cannot grow from there. You really can't, and you cannot grow from being a victim of feeling, because I have been there, I am the victim and everything is happening to me and I am not the one to blame,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of people do this. And the older I get, the more I realize that I am responsible for everything that is happening inside of me, whatever I consume. Like if I consume uh, news and I consume it for 3 hours a day and it's all negative, it's going to be in my head then. And I have to, and that's the process. That's why I love yoga so much, because it reminds you every time you come on the mat, but not just then, because then it grows from there, to come back to yourself, to know yourself better, to come to your true essence of yourself, because in essence we are all pure goodness. I loved how one of the teachers I went to said, we are like water. In essence, it's pure. And then all later on, all the impurities, all the thoughts, negative or unpleasant things come, like the water, it gets dirty. But in essence, we are all pure and kind and compassionate. So we just have to remind ourselves that we are that. And that's what yoga does for me. It reminds me, and every time something comes, it reminds me. It's all, like I said before, it all comes down to awareness. Because when you're aware, then you can move from there. And that's that little pebble we take, right? It's awareness. I love the way how it, yeah. And even if it's hard, um, yeah, we have to keep on going, have to keep on swimming.
To use the wisdom of Dory, find.
Yeah. Oh, I love her. I love her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, maybe it's time then to practice. And I know you have prepared a really beautiful practice for us. So
Yeah.
if you don't want to add anything else to all the wisdom that you've just shared.
I think we can. So to not make it really, really long, because I know people don't have much time, but the practice I'm going to do, I don't know if you ever heard it, but it's an ancient Hawaiian healing practice, and it's called Ho'oponopono, and it's a self-forgiveness practice. It's going to be self-forgiveness. You can read about it a little bit more, but there was a Hawaiian therapist that cured an entire ward of psychiatric patients with this practice, and without ever meeting or talking to these patients. So it's a really, really simple practice, but a really powerful one. And the words we're going to use are I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, and I love you. And these words, they hold, they are so simple, they are hard to say. Maybe those who are watching, maybe they've never said them to themselves. They are super hard. Maybe you will find some resistance in it. But remind yourself to hold yourself with compassion and kindness as you go. And you cannot do this practice wrong, anyhow. Um, yeah, we are just recognizing that we are human, that we make mistakes, um, or as one would call it, must takes, because then we learn from them. And it's a deep, 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 compassionate practice. So before we do that, because we've been sitting a lot, maybe we can just roll our shoulders a little bit forward, up and back. Maybe do a couple of neck circles, so just some organic movement. Maybe you can interlace the fingers in front of your heart and press the hands forward, chin to chest. Let all the air out. And then on the inhale, bring the hands up and wiggle yourself a little bit, left to right. Maybe put a smile on if it feels right. And then exhale, slowly, slowly wiggle the fingers down. You can do this practice even lying down if it feels good for you. So otherwise, you can sit up nice and tall. And before we start, or just as we start, I invite you to bring the hands to your heart space with intention. Maybe you want to close your eyes or keep a soft gaze. Sit nice and tall. And as you have your hands on your heart, we check in a little bit. Notice how we feel today. Remembering that each day is different. Maybe you feel your heartbeat underneath your hands. Maybe you feel the warmth of your hands on your chest. Soften your face, especially the point between your eyebrows. Soften your sweet little heart and soften the belly as well. Start to notice your breath. Notice your breath as it enters, goes down through your throat to your lungs and fills up your belly. And then exhaling, letting out any tension or worry that you might have at this moment. Notice the ground beneath you. Notice whatever you are sitting or lying on. And remember to keep an open heart, open mind. No expectations, no frustrations. Maybe you can imagine in your mind's eye sitting yourself in front of you. Maybe it's you in the present moment. Maybe it's you when you were younger. Notice how you sit, what you wear. And maybe if it feels right, offer yourself a smile. You can keep the hands where they are on the heart, or maybe you can drop them down into your lap. So we tend to be very hard on ourselves when we are not meeting our expectations. We would tend to blame ourselves for things we've done. And we even sometimes punish ourselves for it. And it's really hard to live a life full of resentment and punishment. It's really hard to grow from there. So instead, we rather focus on compassion, of understanding and kindness to ourselves. You can repeat the following phrases or mantras in your mind or maybe out loud. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. And just see what comes up, what rises in you. Notice if there's resistance as you say these words. This is all normal. I mean, maybe you don't even know what are you forgiving yourself for? What are you saying thank you for? Just keep on repeating these powerful phrases. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. And as you say, I'm sorry, what comes up? Where in your body are you feeling this? Remember to look with compassion, with kindness. You don't have to know what you're saying sorry for. Just keep on repeating it. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. And as you say, please forgive me, see what arises there. You don't have to know it all. Just keep on repeating. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. Notice now how gratitude, the practice of gratitude, affects you. What are you grateful for today? Maybe your body, maybe the air you breathe, maybe a home that shelters you. And if it's hard to find something, just keep on repeating, thank you, thank you, thank you. Say it, mean it. Maybe say thank you to yourself for doing your best in each situation. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. Remember, there is no greater power than the power of love. Remember to hold yourself, to keep on holding yourself with kindness and compassion. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. Now just sitting with everything that comes up. Feel how this practice affected your physical body, your mental body, your emotional and spiritual body. If you feel like smiling, feel free to smile. If you feel like crying, allow yourself to cry. And take 3 breaths in and out together. In through the nose and out through pursed lips, slowly like blowing a candle. Softening your body. Inhale in through the nose. Out through the pursed lips. Soften the shoulders, the face. Inhale in through the nose. Out through the lips. Bring yourself back to the present moment. Maybe bowing the head slightly down to your heart space. And when you're ready, slowly, slowly, bat the eyelashes open. Maybe look around you, see where you are, see the colors, the textures. Give thanks for the space you're in. And notice how you feel.
And thanks to you for sharing this amazing practice with us.
You're welcome. Keep on repeating, even if you don't know why and how, and just repeat it. And if you want to know more Ho'oponopono Hawaiian practice of self-forgiveness,
I will put a link down here for people to see how it's spelled. And
yeah.
I know I love this practice. I don't do it very often, but I've done it before. And today I could really feel thankful for, I've been resisting the last couple of days that there is a pattern coming up again that I've seen 1,000 times.
Yes.
And, I can really resist that sometimes, that it's there again. But during this prayer, or
it is a prayer. Yeah, it is a prayer.
I could feel the most at the part, thank you, because I could feel, all of a sudden I could feel thankful for that pattern is there to help me to survive, even though it seems like, it's an old pattern, I don't need it anymore. But yeah, maybe I do. And that it's also, we try to be aware and, it's really good to create more awareness, and at the same time it's also okay that these patterns help us for the moments there's no awareness.
Yeah.
um,
The practice of gratitude. Oh man, oh man.
there's a whole new
Oh
conversation
yeah,
about that.
yeah. Even if you can't find it, you can find the practice of gratitude, and just by being thankful for breathing without pain. Now in this COVID times, like a lot of people have pain while breathing. So this is, yeah.
Yeah.
You can start from there. This is what I love about the gratitude practice. You can start somewhere, and then it just kind of, it pulls you in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm especially grateful for you and for this beautiful conversation.
Thank you for inviting me here. Thank you for letting me share my story, my love for this practice, and thank you for holding such a beautiful space and for doing this. I think it's so important to talk about this more and more, so more women, more men also see that we are not alone. We are so connected, and yeah, we are in this together.
Yes, we are. Yeah. And for everyone who's been here with us today watching, you can find anything about Lina here on her page, so feel free to do so. And maybe we'll meet again. Hope to see you in the next session.